When it comes to driving AI adoption across your organization, one of the most tangible examples that you can use, both out to your customers, to suppliers, and internal employees, is to build a very specific chatbot to service a particular need. And in this video, I'm just going to give you some of the background to help you start thinking about some of those use cases that are beyond the boring standard, let's build a support chatbot, which everyone else is doing. So firstly, let me just give you an example of what I mean by a chatbot. So if we go to my own website, so here we are, charliecowan.ai. And then down at the bottom here, we've got chat to Charlie. So if I click on that, and then you can chat to me. Hi, how are you? Okay, help me plan a workshop. So tell me a bit more. I want to run a prompt hackathon. Can you help me? And so what this chatbot is doing is accessing an OpenAI assistant that I've created that is trained on all of my knowledge and templates and guides. And so the answer that comes here is coming from my knowledge. This is how we run pre-hackathon planning. This is who should be in the session, workshop setup, session flow, and so on. And I can carry on having that conversation with the AI chatbot. So far, so good, so simple. So how should we think about building something like this that is suitable for your website or for your customers? So let's go back into the deck here. So the first thing that I recommend is to put yourself in your customer's shoes. You may have come across the jobs to be done framework. This is used in product development. Really, we think that when someone buys something, whether that is a car, whether it's an umbrella, whether it's a CRM system, they don't actually want the car, the umbrella, or the CRM system. They're hiring it to perform a job. The umbrella is because you don't want rain on you. CRM is so that managers have got a better idea of what is about to close. And when we're building a chatbot for our customers, for our suppliers, for our internal employees, we need to be thinking about what is the job that that person is trying to perform. And in terms of our customers, we might think, certainly in the early stages of their buying process, they're trying to research and understand the market. They're trying to learn about your product without having to speak to an SDR or a salesperson. They're probably trying to understand your licensing model and the implications of that for their own organization. They might, later on in the process, start to think about planning a rollout, who needs to be involved, the roles and responsibilities. They might need to be investigating your InfoSec security credentials, ISO 27001. So these are the jobs that that person is trying to perform. The second part of the jobs to be done framework is the emotional job. So on top of the practical sort of features of the job, actually, I want to feel good about my decision. I want to feel that I've done the right amount of work and that I've made the right decision. I also want to be able to move fast. I don't want to be waiting 2 weeks to get a meeting with an AE who's going to start selling to me. Actually, I want to get the answers to my questions. And then the third aspect of the jobs to be done framework is the social job. When we move forward with this product or with this category, I want others to look at me and go, oh, that person did a great job. And it makes you look good in terms of your position within the company. So this is the world that your customer is in, whether they're at the very early stage of their buying process, whether they're in negotiation and contracting, or whether they're in onboarding and actual usage of your product. So when you think about the type of chat bot or chat interface that you want to create, serve their needs rather than thinking, oh, I want to create a support chatbot so that we can save some costs in our support team. So build for them and not for you. Let's look at some different stages of the customer lifecycle and think about the types of things that your customer is trying to do at that stage. So right at the early stages of their buying process, they're trying to identify a meaningful and important problem that is worth solving. They're trying to explore potential solutions, which could be buying technology, but it could also be working with a consultant. It could be changing their process. It could be adding more people to their current solution. And then they're trying to gather requirements. What do we need this thing to do? So the jobs to be done, they've got to research the market, they've got to understand the category, they've got to understand the licensing model, prioritize use cases, develop a business case would be some of the examples of things that they're trying to do. Later on in their process, now they're trying to run a vendor selection. They've got to do POCs, get customer references, and get everyone on board. So they're trying to understand the details of your service, the contracts, and so on. And then, hopefully, having selected you, they're now in onboarding and in use. Now they've got to plan an implementation project. They've got to understand what roles and responsibilities they might need within their team. They've got to be able to prove the ROI of the product that they've bought and come up with some metrics that they can report back to the steering committee. They want to develop their own career. Having brought your product in, how can they use that to accelerate their own personal career goals? Maybe there are some challenges around low adoption, so that's what they're trying to solve. Maybe they need to increase their usage with upgrades and renewals. How can you help them with that? So build for them and not for you. Now let's have a look at some of the people that are in your organization. And as I go through this, I guarantee that you will think of some names that come to mind. Think of the people that as you go through a sales or onboarding process, someone says, we've got to get Greg on this call. We've got to get Emma on this call, because these are the people who've got the domain expertise, the experience, the templates, the frameworks. And you know that when you get this person involved, then the customer gets what they need. And often I think about this from my own historical sales experience, that even if you are a really great and supportive salesperson that wants to help your customer be successful, the customer still sees you as someone they want to get to the person behind you, which is the CSM, the architect, the lawyer, the person that's doing their actual job that they want to get that information from. So I would be speaking to these people and saying, right, what are the templates that you share with customers? What are the most common questions that they have? What are the workshops that you run with them that give your customer the information that they really, really want? And can we build that into our chatbot? Once again, build for them, not for you. So having determined the idea for your chatbot, then start thinking about the ingredients that you're going to need to bring into it. And so there's really two main elements. The first is thinking about the interaction flow. So chatbots can work in very different ways. So you can have a very simple Q&A. I've got a question, what is your licensing model? And an answer, well, we sell on an annual contract and we charge by user. But often what your users, your potential customers are looking for is actually guidance. And so therefore, you might have more of a coaching or a workshop type format, which is the kind of thing that your pre-sales technical architect or solution architect might be running with the customer, where there are a series of questions. And based on those questions, we're taking them in a certain direction, helping to gather context from the customer. So let's think about whether we develop something like that. And then the other context to think about is, the other dimension to think about is this a one-off where someone's coming for one question, or are they going to be coming back and developing their conversation over a period of time? So that's the interaction flow. The second thing to think about as an ingredient for your chatbot is the knowledge sources. So what are the things that if the customer was speaking to you or one of your team, they would be accessing? Well, we've got this playbook that tells you how to do that. We've got this guide which walks you through how you onboard or implement. We've got this template which captures all of your existing data sources or integrations. We've got this framework for how you should staff your team. We have our contract, we have our price list, we have our infosec documents, all of these things that are almost hidden away from your customers unless they ask for them. Well, these are great sources to go into your chatbot, depending on the focus of the topic. The one thing I would encourage you right now not to think about is about integrations. When we think about chatbots, everyone gravitates straight to, oh, a support chatbot. Oh, and a support chatbot, well, that needs access to all of our support systems, and that's going to need access to all of the customers' contract details, and that's going to need access to their licensing and what they're paying. And suddenly you end up in one of these very, very complicated AI projects that becomes a POC that isn't good enough and therefore never rolls out. The moment you start at this stage trying to build integrations in is the moment you put the brakes on and this thing slows down and people start debating whether AI is ready yet. But if you focus just on a great interaction, solving the jobs to be done for the customer and giving them access to the templates and tool boxes and guides that you're going to give them to them anyway over email, you're going to get an implementation much faster. So the next steps I'm not going to go into in this video because it's probably worth us talking about it and getting into a bit more detail, but is to decide which LLM model is going to be behind this. So that could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it might be Gemini for a Google Workspace customer. And then secondly is about thinking, where are you going to put this chatbot? So the example that I showed you on my website is just on the homepage, and wherever you go on my website, you can chat with me. But you might have a support site or a portal where you only want to provide this to people that have been authenticated and logged in. You might want to put it within your actual product, especially if you've got a SaaS product. You actually want people to be able to discuss within that. Or think about specific scenarios that are maybe one-off. Maybe you're organizing your annual customer event or a regular customer community online event. Can you provide chat that is specifically about that event and what people are going to learn and how they're going to prepare for their agenda? So really think about, number one, who's the customer? Who's the user? Is it a prospect or a customer? Solve for what they want, not for what you want. And then start speaking to your gurus internally to understand the information that they're already sharing with your customers, but you can bottle up into a chatbot like that. And so come and have a chat with me. Either digital me or real me. And we can help get one of these in place very, very quickly and start to show everyone in your team how quickly AI can provide tangible benefits, not just to your team, but to your prospects and your customers.